Thanks for watching the maiden edition of our program, News Echoes World Affairs. Newa, I'm so glad you're watching. My name is Shegun Johnson. What with a situation in our hand, the world at the brink of a nuclear war. What a time to start discussing things that are of importance, global importance, yet straight to our doorstep. I'm glad that we have eminent academics in the house who will be looking at very important issues today. We have all the way from Canada, Sir George. Sir George, you are welcome to this program.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning from around the world. It is good to be here today.
Yes, and in Milan, we have our man, Mark George. Mark, you are welcome to the program.
Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Shagun. Good morning, viewers. It's beautiful to be in this inaugural News Echo World Affairs. Thank you very much, Dr. Shagun.
I think great kudos to the Schengen media who has made this possible through his platform. And what a time when Russia is ready to nuke whoever opposes it on his territory. And Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is ready to ask the rest of the world to come and face Putin and his men. In fact, Zelensky has asked the West, number one, to rapidly approve its NATO membership. Number two, to give a preemptive strike on Russia. That will mean that there could be a nuclear war. And then the fourth one is that the Russia said the new four territories that they did a referendum. Uh, if anybody should go there, that is aggression against Russia. All the way from Canada, Sir George, are we entering into a nuclear warfare?
Well, if you look around what is going on, I think this is just an entrance into that Armageddon, as President Biden called it. You're dealing with individuals that are self-centered and egotistical, and that's what we are seeing right now. Now, we have to understand that if you really look at the present condition of things in the world today, this has been prophesied in the Bible that such a thing might happen. But when you look at US, you look at Russia, the considered world powers, and these are strong men trying to rub shoulders. But now Ukraine is involved. So yes, indeed, I believe that we are coming close. Whether Vladimir Putin will go ahead and preempt a strike, or he's threatening, because I believe that his ego is bruised, because this is what we are seeing today. His army is not doing very well, and therefore he wants to showcase his power and his strength around the world.
Thank you very much. We have with us the powerhouse of diplomacy in Africa, Dr. Osita Aniemeka. You are most welcome. And if anything, Newa, it should be
Thank
your
you.
baby, because because your university deals with international relations, and here we are in our hands, people ready to break the reason for the United Nations, the creation of United Nations in 1945. Throughout 1944, discussions were made, and the United Nations said in their preamble that never should there be any hot war which will be called World War, after the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the defeat of those who are in support of Hitler. Now we're close to it. This is a very serious moment. Nobody expected the dropping of the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because the war was almost concluded. But here we are. But from your vantage point, Dr. Sita, are we close to that place again?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because we go back yesterday. I need to take my time on this because George has made a very important point. You're dealing with rascals. There is nothing you can do about it. And let me say this before I continue. For all the times that these wars were ignited, we're always saying that no, there are no signs of it. Just go back a little bit. All the histories of the war, you keep saying no, 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 no. There is always a point of departure. Now, Jake Sullivan is saying again, the national security advisor, to Biden and the United States, that there are no signs. There are no signs of Putin igniting nukes. Tomorrow he will ignite it, and we are still saying there are no signs because the US has said it. All we are saying is, let's prepare for this as if it's going to happen tomorrow.
That's right.
Because any nuke that leaves the station is a disaster in the present world. This is not the world of yesterday. In the present world, any nuke that leaves, the point I am trying to make is that we can only say to Putin, don't. But saying don't to him does not mean that he will not. This is somebody who has been all his life, has been living with terrorism. Let's face facts. He's somebody who never liked the West from day one. So he is in power, minority power. He's the richest man in Russia today, having homes everywhere. So his life is made for him the way he wants it. And part of it is being a rascal.
Yeah, let me ask you a question quickly before I go to Mark in Milan. Looks like the West and the East, they've taken their positions. What are the other countries doing to make things to calm things down? I mean, the so-called non-aligned nations, those who are not involved in this, China, African states, South American states, are they sleeping?
I was going to go into that, and thank you for pulling me into that too. They are not plugged in. Non-aligned is not plugged in. None. My fear is that they're going to stay like this, and it will happen, and it will affect everybody. They forget the power of a common voice. They forget it because people are scared. How do we remain scared to the point of death? Non-aligned nations, and my most pain. There is no African nation that has made a statement of plan. None. That is because they are keeping quiet. They don't know whether the grains will dry up. They don't know whether America will seize arms. They don't know anything because we're not prepared for anything. Our preparation Pentagon is zero. We don't have it.
Thank you.
While I sit here, sir, in Abuja, I am hoping for the best, and it's just hope without action.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sita. I was just going to ask Mark, in a nation that is seen as a giant of Africa, Nigeria, we appear not to have a particular foreign policy right now. Gone were the days when our foreign policy was anti-apartheid, just in those two words. But since the South Africa got its own independence from apartheid, that was just it. Nigeria had never had any other formidable foreign policy. So how will a country like Nigeria see that as important right now?
This is it. Ambassador Dr. Sita is giving very good views on this issue. It's time Africa should build structures of real intelligence on the world stage. Nigeria has never done so well in such diplomatic matters. We are still scoring very low. But before I go on, I want to announce a breaking news that just came in now. The Nobel Peace Prize has been given to the three Ukrainian, Zelensky, the Russian opposition leader, and the Belarus opposition leader. So it's just been announced.
Wow, that was expected.
Yes, the three of them were simultaneously given. So
but just on that note, people said, why should they give it to Zelensky? I mean, that's the argument of some people, because he's still fighting, he's still at war. So why should you give to someone who is at war? What do you have to say?
Or maybe this could be an encourager to help him resolve the war. Maybe this could also push more zeal into finding solution to end this war, because
Okay.
he has done pretty well. It's not easy. Somebody that wasn't in that political space, coming from the entertainment industry, and finding himself in that space, but he has been able to contain this very aggressive situation that we found ourselves. He has done well.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much. Sir George is
Yes.
from Canada. Don't you think that may escalate the war in between Russia and Ukraine? Hearing that Zelensky has been given the Nobel Prize for Peace, and so Putin, who you may never, you may never imagine what he may do. Will this help situation?
It will not help situation, but what we see here is a psychological movement which can actually escalate the situation, because you're dealing with somebody that his ego is bruised, and then all of a sudden you go and strike a little fire close to the fuel, which can just explode any moment. So
Yeah.
that movement that they made, they could think, well, we're calling him, they give him the Nobel Peace Prize.
Peace. That's the word. Peace
Peace
prize. Yeah.
Prize. Now he is still at war defending his nation from an attack from Russia, but yet the man we're dealing with is a very highly egotistical, self-centered individual who thinks that he must rub shoulders with America and make sure that whatever America interest is, that he will attack it. So what we're doing, I don't think they should have done that, personally, if you ask me, not because they don't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, but what you are doing is stroking his ego once more that might help him to press that button any moment at any time. You're dealing with a madman, I'm sorry. And when we talk about
Absolutely.
a madman is somebody who only considered himself and never considered the effects around him, people in his own country, and people that actually what the effect of the entire globe. He doesn't care about that. He thinks
Yeah.
about only one thing and only one thing alone, his ego. So I think it's
In
a
a,
wrong
in a
move.
moment, I'll be asking Dr. Sita the same question. But, Sir George, there's this question I always wanted to ask you. The United Nations, has it been effective? I want to read part of the United Nations preamble when it was formed. It says, we, the peoples of the United Nations, determined to save succeeding generation from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow and mankind, do hereby reaffirm, blah, blah, blah. Well, since that time, there have never been any nuclear war. There have been wars. Definitely, it's not been successful in that area. But on this particular issue, do you think the United Nations is doing enough? Does it have power to stop NATO or to stop Russia? What has it been doing? What would be your assessment of the United Nations at this moment?
Well, okay, you can give United Nations all the power that you think, but what power do they really have when it comes to somebody, their ability to stop something like this? Now, if you really, really want to critically think about this whole entire situation, in 1962, the 13-day event that happened in 1962 was
Yes,
because somebody wants to go to Cuba, which is next door to United States, to do something that United Nations is trying to do now in Ukraine, close to Russia.
that's right.
So, question, how did the United States react when that took place? Do you
For those
understand?
who don't understand what it says, talking about the Cuban crisis
The
and how
Cuban
he was
crisis that
handling
happened in
it.
1962 that
How John Kennedy handled
that
it.
nearly brought the nuclear war that could have happened at that time. And the reason was because in Cuba, which is next door to United States of America, somebody wanted to do something that is happening right now in Ukraine. So, when you really think about it psychologically, and somebody that understands history, you will see that this situation is so dicey and so critical that are you really blaming Putin for reacting rather than responding? Because he is like a rejected child, and that's how he feels. He wants recognition. He wants his ego to be stroked, but they are coming against him. So when you really balance the equation, and you will see that United Nations really might not have any power, but because their strength is veered towards one direction. Now, as a child that is abused, per se, quote unquote, how what is it that they have done to appease Putin and say, listen, come on in, let's stroke your ego a little bit. You're important to us too. But America will not allow that to happen. And the consequences of this are lives of thousands and millions of people that is on the brink of
Yeah,
destruction.
that's right. Thank you very much, Sir George. Dr. Sita, right in Abuja, capital of Nigeria. Um, you just listen to Sir George. We are trying to sort a problem here. We're trying to look for a settlement. The more Russia says, I don't want NATO at my doorstep, the more Zelensky is bringing in NATO. And he said, please make it happen fast. Now, we know that no nation like Russia, like Dr. Ibe will want us to know, will want to bring NATO straight up. At least Russia will never accept it. Yet Zelensky has been given the Nobel Peace Prize. Are we not caught in for trouble?
Yes and no, two ways really, because let's look at it the way it is. You fight with what you have. You use what you have to engage. What does the West have now? It's non-war tools. You call them non-war tools because they are not battlefront, they are not shooting guns, they are not sinking ships. The
Mm,
power of alignment. So when Ukrainian president is adorned with the Nobel Peace Prize, remember Nobel Peace Prize does not have anything to do with peace. It is just an award. It is an award because there's no peace in the dynamite that created it. That's the
that's
point.
right.
The man who made dynamite created the Peace Prize. These are just yes, these are alignments for the future. But what has happened now with the threesome is that the opposition to Russia's methodology is saying to him, to Putin, we also have other tools for war. And believe
Yeah.
me, listen to this. In the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you will see the power of the Peace Prize because it is given to the best in the world.
Mm,
Let's grow with that. It is given to who is a judge the best in the world. Forget the judges. Forget who created it. But the
mm.
truth about it is that the rest of the world is saying to Russia, we are recognizing these three that are against you. That is war.
Okay.
That is war. That
In
is
the
diplomatic war. They are using diplomacy to create a place where he will look pushed. But the shame on this radical, like George, describes him, is that his ego will not let him take the right decision. But believe
mm,
me, at any point in our lives, we have gotten to this stage where we're saying, maybe he will not. Maybe he will not. But one day, he will strike. What the US did to him by George's story in 1962 was to make him dismantle.
yeah,
That is
I
also the
was about to
power.
mention that. I was about to
Yes,
mention that.
that is also the power of alignment. They said to
Mm,
him, well, okay, Cuba, fine. But we're not going to let you do this because of this, because of this, because of this. And then Russia dismantled. When Putin is citing that as an example, and he's talking about many other things that have happened, he is drawing close to a place where we will say, okay, America has done it before. But why play the blame game when you know the right thing to do? It's childish, and
Well,
like George said, egotistic.
yeah, I think exactly. We will be keeping a close eye on that one, and we will be bringing the latest from that spot.
Yes.
Let's go straight to the
Yes, sir.
consequences in
Yes,
what
yes,
is going on.
I,
Yeah.
I was going to say a summarized version of as it is today. Today,
Okay.
Friday,
I was coming to you
December.
anyway, so you might as well go ahead.
Yes, sir. As it is today, U.S. President Joe Biden says that yes, Russia, Vladimir Putin, is a threat to use the nuclear weapon is the biggest threat since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Mm.
That was his statement as at early this morning. As it is today, also, Ukrainians are finding dead bodies littered all around southern region of Ukraine. That's coming from the State Emergency Service. As it is today in the war between Russia and Ukraine, Ukrainian missile has hit a particular region in the Russian-controlled city, a city that the Russians has taken from the Ukrainians. But Ukrainians were able to hit it this morning, killing and wounding several civilians. That is also coming from a news agency we have will be monitoring. As it is also today, there is a lot of crisis in the Russian-backed official fighting against the Ukrainians. A lot of generals and soldiers are having conflict, understanding the essence of what they are doing in the war front. So these are situations as it is this morning, and we know
Okay.
things change as the day go by. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll be back to you in a moment. I just want to ask Sir George and Dr. Sida a quick question. Sir George first. Um, some opine that if Putin should give the generals a command to use the nuclear weapon, they will turn their back and shoot him, in the sense that they will kill one man to save millions of people. Do you think that will happen?
Well, think about this for one moment. Unless there is a general consensus among all the generals to say, listen, let us do this, because, but whoever is going to do that must also understand the ramifications of such from people that are in line with Putin's mindset. Because if you can't reach Putin to begin with. He's been, if you watch, he's been very, very secluded. As we speak right now, the understanding is that he is in a bunker.
Yeah,
He's on
yeah.
the ground somewhere. So the question is, if he tells them to use it and they don't use it, what will happen? Can he be excluded from the general power structure in Russia since he's in a bunker? But if he does, if he asks them to do it and they refuse to do it, does he have the power to use one of his own to try to fight against these generals? So it's a very dicey situation which we don't understand. And the reason why I'm so concerned is simply because when he started quoting, he is he's a man of history. You understand history very well. Putin
Yeah.
is. So when he's talking history. He's talking about what happened in Cuba under Nikita, and then he's talking about America was able to blockade them and disallow them, and they were able to dismantle everything and taking it back. But now he is also quoting about what happened to Japan.
Yeah.
How United States says, or decimated Japan, and he's using that as a justification in case that thing would happen. So the only problem we have today is the news, because there are so many. The news are not very well balanced. Number one,
Yeah.
people in Russia only hearing what favors Putin's ideologies.
That's right.
So that's the problem. So, and only very few can understand what's happening around the world, and the news from the other side of it, the far right, per se, if I may call it so.
Yeah, Dr. Sita, will you align with that postulation from the judge?
Yes, yes. Plus the fact too that there's a total disconnect even in the society itself. People who are outside the war front don't know what's happening at the
Wow.
bottom. They don't, and they cannot, and they will not, because it has been so programmed in a way that only what they want you to hear. Yes, Dr. Ibe will come here and say exactly what I'm saying now. That if you go and take it, a census or take a poll on the streets of Russia, 90% of them will side the war. That is what it is. But the reality of the battlefront is completely disconnected because of one reason: Putin's agenda. So when somebody is saying this, it is still possible to try. But when you are doing it at home in Moscow, you are in trouble. Outside Moscow, yes, which is the reality of today. People who know what they know, even what I know here from Abuja, is more than what some generals know on the streets of Moscow.
That's interesting.
Because that is the plan. And these, they are so regimented. They have guidelines. If this happens, this is what will happen. If this happens, this is what will happen. So they keep getting the same content in the same context all the time. And it is scary because they become zombies, doing what is right in Moscow, but deadly to the rest of the world.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sita. We'll just move on to the effect of this situation in the countries around the world. Mark in Milan, I understand there's a rationing of energy in Italy. Tell us more.
Yes, sir. It's obviously going it's spiraling around the world, the effect of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Yes, we know Russia supplies 64% of the gas to EU countries, European countries. Now that 64% has been reduced to about 24 or 22% because of this whole thing. To top it all, also, for example, Italy had a closure of the streaming because let's just put it, it's a weapon. The gas has become a weapon of war, a weapon of economic sabotage. So
will that not be catch-22? If Russia doesn't sell its gas to the rest of Europe, it will not be making money. Or what do you say?
Well, sometimes strategies are applied to a thing and they are not looking at both ends. You are looking at it from both sides. When it's a weapon of war, they are thinking one line and to just punish a person that doesn't support them. Last week, Friday, our prime minister, the new prime minister, Meloni, the lady, she made some very harsh utterances to direct utterances directly to Putin that this whole war has no justification. He's only putting the world in more economic problems, blah, blah, blah. And that night, what they said was maintenance, something is going on and they have to shut us out. So Friday night till yesterday, Tuesday morning, Italy had a closure of its gas supply that was coming from the Nord Stream 2. That's the pipe, the tunnel that brings gas.
Yeah.
It passes through Ukraine, it comes through Austria, and somehow comes through Switzerland. So that's how the network works. And in each of these countries it passes through, you have an outlet that gives to those countries. So the remaining comes to us. And also we have a way the pipe goes to other southern European countries. So when you lock Italy, you're also closing some other European countries that are tapping from that line. So this is what Europeans are facing presently. The gas has become an economic weapon of war. When you say anything, behave anyhow, to put it, he stops your gas supply. And what that
Yeah.
means is
I was scrutinizing your suit. It looks so well ironed and your shirt. I wonder where you get energy to do all of that.
This is
we're
what you do
using
all the time.
we're
Your
using
scrutiny,
we're
your
using
scrutiny, Dr. Johnson, your scrutiny has taken ranking.
No, seriously speaking, from the United Kingdom, on the 1st of April, the British energy, where the price was increased by 50%. So if you have been paying £100 per month for energy, you started paying £150 as from the 1st of April. As from the 1st of October, that is few days ago, you start paying double the amount of 150. So you'll be paying £300. And of course, many people have cried, and there were demonstrations. And the government said, well, we will cushion it for you. How about £400 per annum? Don't worry. This thing is going to thousands of pounds, but the government will be giving you £400. So, but their argument is that you don't need it, don't use it. If you need it, don't use it, so that you are not charged. Let me ask from George, how's this been impacting on the Americas, Canada, USA, Mexico, South America?
It is affecting, but not as severe as it is in Europe right now because of Russia Europe connection when it comes to gas. It's affecting. Most of the gas prices here are by speculation. So whatever that is happening in Europe, around the world, with OPEC and with any other industry, does affect the gas prices. When those speculation comes and there is a reason to believe that there will be shortages, prices will rise. So prices started rising again. It dropped into a new low just a few weeks ago. But as of 2 days ago, when that news came out, prices shot up again, like 10 cents to 20 cents, in such a short period of time. But, one of the things that this could be a great opportunity, for some countries that are wise. And say, for instance, Nigeria, we have abundance of gas that
Yeah,
Europe could be using,
yeah.
but we have concentrated only on petroleum, crude oil. Now, can
Yeah,
you
they started
imagine
discussing with Nigeria now. The European nations are discussing.
that are discussing with Nigeria now?
You caught me there. You caught me there.
Did you see? Did you? Yeah, okay. So, but imminently, what is happening in Europe is very dire because it's becoming cold, and Putin is putting a squeeze to the gas supply just to let the pressure touch you, so that people will start crying out against the government, and
Yeah,
that could make him look good eventually. That's what he's saying. That's what he's trying to do. But it could also have a very dynamic negative effect against him as a wicked man.
yeah.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Because when somebody is dying in the house, they couldn't afford to use their gas to heat up the house or to cook. It's a
I have
very
one quick question for you, Sir George. So, what has made the dollar to be so strong against all the other currencies right now? What has made it? I don't know. May I know?
Yes, you see what is happening. If you understand the economic system of the world today, dollar is strong simply because they've made a decision. When reduction of supplying petroleum, crude oil from the
Mm.
OPEC, like right now, they are blaming the Arab world because they're trying to reduce the supply of crude oil, and that's what's
Even by
bringing
2 million
gas.
barrels. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what bringing the prices up. Okay, so now America is taking a counter decision to supply more crude oil now. They are
from their
doing
reserve.
so. So what is happening is because they are able to do that and they've been preparing about that, it gives more strength to the dollar. And another situation that is happening because of the gas situation and because of the economic woes, inflation in Europe, which actually brought the pounds down very low, America now is using that as an opportunity. With the strength of the increase in their crude oil supply, their money is going higher. And that's what's happening.
Thank you so much, because that explains a lot of things that I think, including those of us spending pound sterling. We just discovered that our pound was equal to $1. We never saw it like that before.
Never.
I went to change money, and in fact, that I did not come out with less than $1 was still a miracle. Dr. Osita, I know we have to go on break right now, but just in a few seconds, how has it impacted African states, these crises in Russia and Ukraine? What are the things, how are you feeling it, the common man, the government throughout Africa?
It's a shame because everything George said now, it's true. But there's an addition to it. Ukraine cannot export grains. That's a double jeopardy. Russia does not want to give oil. Ukraine cannot export grain. So there is paucity of power. There is no food. What you have expected is that for the glorious African countries who have these two, because we have arable land and we have countries in Africa that have the liquid gold.
Wow.
Nothing has happened. So what we are looking at now is a complete handicap of a continent that doesn't know what to do. Instead, you read news in Nigeria about stolen oil. And you know the two types of stealing: bunkering and signature. People
Wow.
People
Illegal
are signing off oil on China's sea from Abuja into private pockets.
Wow.
So you will have an ATS, authorized paper to sell oil, and they will align a specification from Bonny loading port to your name, but you can never sell it. It is going to private pocket. So what I was saying, Africa is going to remain like this for as long as it takes the leaders to do the right thing. There is no grain, there is no power. This is time for Africa to stand up and grow fat, and nothing is happening.
Okay.
It's a shame and it's sad.
Thank you very much. We just have to go on a short break. When we return, one sacked police officer killed, 35 maimed, many in Indonesia. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
When I wrote the book, The Final Solution, the Lord gave me some things in the spirit realm to see going to happen here. And that is why you need to get a copy of this book, not because of the purchase, but because of the contents. We've not spent 2 weeks. Now we have seen the problem in Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus, Donetsk, Luhansk, and all the other surrounding nations, talk less of the Western countries and the Eastern countries. We want to pray that this stops where it is. Some people are even imagining a third world war. I pray that there'll be no third world war, but we need to know the solution to all of these problems, and they are well packaged in that book, The Final Solution. The amount of money is next to nothing. Go to Amazon and buy this book. Go to the Kindle, go to KDP and buy this book. It's very important. So it is in Amazon and Kindle. And of course you can purchase the paperback, but it's not about the money. It's about the contents to have solution to Ukraine, to Russia, to the West, to the East, and indeed all parts of the world. Do get a copy and let's start operating the solution of God to our time.
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
Thank you for watching and staying with us at News Echoes World Affairs, our maiden edition here. We see that so many things are happening across the globe and we cannot just overlook them. Latest we heard from Indonesia. I'm going to ask Mark from Milan to tell us more. This police officer was sacked and he felt bad and went into drugs and finally decided to shoot some 35 students and their staff yesterday. Mark, you've been following this news. Can you tell us more?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, Doc. Thailand experienced one of the most bizarre massacre that could happen in its country. We had sobbing parents sitting on chairs, crying their hearts out because more than 23 young children, the ages of 2 to 5, lost their life. And when, like you said, a former policeman armed with knife, handgun, forced his way into their classroom and smashed them all while they were sleeping. You see, the sad thing is the kids were having the afternoon nap. You know, when children go to school, the nursery, kindergarten class, there's a time to take their nap. And that was when this man went in there and wreaked this havoc. It's been very, we don't know how to place this. As at this morning, the death toll has risen to 36 because it's now including some old people too, those that were caring for the center and some other adults. So is somebody sobbing there? Is somebody crying? Did I hear?
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. So
Well,
it's been a very sad moment for the country. The details are still emerging on the massacre. We are still following up what the whole thing. The government has closed down the school. The government has said, take note that the man did this and killed himself. He went home after killing
yeah.
this student. He went to his house, killed the wife, and killed the child, his only
Killed
child.
his son, yeah. I
Yes.
beg your
So
pardon, it was in Thailand, not Indonesia. Correct that one. And the
Exactly.
news says,
yes,
yeah,
Thailand.
the news says a former policeman had stormed the building, killing children as young as 2 while they slept, leaving at least 37 people dead. More than 90 children usually attend the center. But because of
Yes.
poor weather and a bus breakdown, only 24 of them were there on Thursday. Only one child has survived. Sir George, I have seen, especially in the United States, people who have been sacked, people who have been uh, maybe charged, and they go home, take their gun, and fire at schools, fire at parties. What what can we, the rest of the world, make out of this? Should we not start thinking of how to sack people to make sure they're in the right frame of mind? And maybe when they are sacked, they are immediately rehabilitated. We have to do something. I mean, we cannot just continue sacking people who should be sacked, but how do we sack them?
Anyway, it is a very serious situation. People are on edge. Look at it now. Now, even locally in Canada or in the Toronto area, we have seen a lot of increase in accidents, stabbings, shootings have recently increased because of the economic woes that are affecting the lives of people. Now, many people cannot handle the situation that, all this that is happening around them. They can't handle the economic downturn, unable to pay your mortgage, unable to pay your bills to feed your family because food prices, inflation. So now what is you seeing around the world is perilous times has come. So now the question is, are we going to now become afraid to fire somebody who was on drugs actually and not performing in any way whatsoever? Are you going to say, okay, we're not going to fire you, let's pamper you because, okay, you refuse to come to work. And when you come to work, you're sleeping. And when they wake you up, you can't even make out a sentence. And they ask you about what you're doing. Okay, go home. You send them home 2 times. And the 3rd time, they're still doing the same thing, you fire them. But you are afraid of what's going to happen. It is the sign of the times. So what is going on now is what we are seeing is what is happening. This young man was on drug while he was at work. And that's exactly the problem. So are you not going to fire him? Or are you going to now send him to the hospital? So that's what's happening. So this is something that we have never had that happen in Thailand, of all places. So what we're seeing is the sign of the times. But also, I believe, like what Dr. Bishop was saying a few minutes ago, that we have to be sensitized to the mental state of people these days. Because if we are not careful, the world at large might rise up against itself. And that's where we are today. So,
Thank you.
Dr. Osita, could you
Go ahead.
please elaborate a little bit from a Nigerian standpoint?
Yes. You are talking about being sacked. It is not just an authority sacking. It's not just like your boss, like your CEO or your human relations manager sacking. It is when the society sacks you. If you stay, late on Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos, you will see one suicide. It's like a daily thing now. The ones people don't see are more because these people are getting smarter now. They don't just go there and body like to jump anymore. They wait. They just wait. And then they board the last vehicle from abandoned, to mainland. They get to a point, they ask the driver to stop. When they start screaming stop, the driver is forced to stop and they walk backwards. They are jumping. It's that scary because the person would have left home to go to, find money. Maybe somebody's owing him and he's owing a landlord, not even about being sacked at work. And he finishes the whole day of 8 hours, 9 hours, and finds not a dime. Already the wife had threatened to leave, or the wife had even left with the children. So for him, what life is left? Society has sacked him. So he takes his life. This is right here in Nigeria. Right here in Nigeria, society sacks you. So there are different levels of mental capacity. People are tortured to the last point now that they don't care anymore. The only problem there is that in other societies, they first and foremost take revenge on society by killing people who were not the cause of their trouble. Yeah. Somebody was saying the other day, a downfall driver in Lagos had music playing. He jumped out of his vehicle and started dancing. The vehicle was rolling. Yes. He had full load of passengers, meaning 18 people coming from the mainland to the island. He was dancing. That's madness.
I think
So
the
this
level of revenge,
capacity, it has gone everywhere, everywhere. Do not say that it's not in your village because you think your village is calm. Watch out for them. Some of them are found hanging on trees in the farms in Southeast. So yes, it is bad. It is very sad. The level of mental capacity now has dropped so badly that people have lost control. What about people who lie and use their lie to create problems for the next person, to destroy them? What about our
yeah,
churches? Pastors have created opportunities for people and created debt for others. What about
wow.
our governments? We have a terrible situation now. And the thing that we see, because what I like Dr. Johnson for is that you will always ask for solution.
Mm.
If you are in control about sacking somebody, make plans. Make
Yeah,
plans. The judge just said something about going to the hospital. Yes, take it to the hospital. Make it restrictive so that for some time it will calm down. And when he is leaving, leave something with him.
yeah. If
Don't
people
sack
who
him.
are being relieved of their duties in the military, they are normally
Yes,
they set up a plan for them, not
exactly.
they set
Exactly.
up.
Even when they find you guilty, after court martialing, they lead you
Mm,
out. They don't just let you walk out. They lead you out. Leading out means that there are things on track that could sustain you. If after all of that now you still do what you want to do, something had been done in the process.
yeah, I think the level of revenge in the West is very high. Here in the United Kingdom, this is official statistics. Every year, at least 105 ex-partners kill their partners and kill their
Exactly.
children. That is
Exactly.
twice a week. One ex-partner killed the other one and the children if possible. So the
Mhm.
level of revenge is so high and is a mental state. Mark, what's your contribution to this?
Yes, it's a wonderful contribution we're making here, and a lot of people are listening too. Yes, I was going to say that there's no excuse for killing people. I mean, murder is a serious offense before man and before God also. But one thing that could affect a man's psyche is when a man cannot fend for his family. It's something that has been proven that men generally have this. We've been programmed to fend and take care of a family. So when that ability is no more there, it begins to affect a man also psychologically, and this could make him want to do a lot of crazy things. So, but there is no excuse for killing. There's no excuse for taking another person's life. No excuse at all, no matter the situation. But I think governance around the world need to look into mental health of people. We need to begin to really look more into people's mental situations. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I thought we'll be taking the Academic Staff Union of Universities issue straight away, but I will defer till next week, Wednesday, when we will look at the pros and cons of having a different parallel union,
Come
both in
on.
the academic world and in the medical line. I just want us to center it on politics in Nigeria right now. And Dr. Sita, you are the man on the hot seat. We were told that Tinubu returned to Nigeria yesterday with fanfare, pomp, and pageantry. Tell us more, please. Some people they compare him with the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, with everybody putting their flags down and him marching up. Tell us more, please.
I won't compare him to that, but the truth is that no, I won't. The truth is that most people didn't even believe yesterday's story because he had returned several times. The story of his
Mm.
return, including his, cycling, including his jogging, including his dancing, they had been there all the time. So when somebody called me to say that he has returned, though, those days they sent me clips of whatever, I still didn't believe it. You know why? Because
Mm.
we have been inundated by all the dreadful lies about one single individual in Nigeria.
Mm.
Dr. Johnson, he's not president yet, and he's
Yeah.
causing all this confusion? What happens with the presidency for first 4 years, for second 4 years? One man. And there is nothing about what is happening now that is positive. Everything is addressing his health issue, his lies. He's discontent with society because he's not president. It is my turn. Everything that has happened before the launch of the electionary campaign, and even the launch that he couldn't attend. Why must APC be the small god of Nigeria? Why would everything that is going wrong with them become news? Why are we competing with the wrong people? The issue is we're not even ashamed to talk about the misfit of that pillar for governance. We're not even ashamed to talk about it. People are blaming you for talking about it. What kind of impunity is that? People are cursing. People are taking social media to abuse other people because of one person who, for himself, he knows that he does not qualify. On health grounds alone, he does not. And the other thing also is that who will respect this kind of person outside Nigeria? Are we supposed to stay like this forever?
Okay.
Dr.
Return to let me quickly ask Sir George from Canada. I thought you were making short, but you went on. Sir George, what's your impression? One man returned and is being clapped for.
Well, it's campaign, quote unquote. That's what you call political campaign. So they're making news and they're making sure that it's becoming news. The point about it is this: if we really look at the behind the scenes, Jesus was crucified, but the people did not know the reason why he was crucified. Now, for the past several years, during the Buhari regime, Britain had made sure that he stays alive, so that there will not be any chaos, and the pipeline of milking Nigeria will continue. And right now, the problem is, if you find a man that thinks just like you, that knows what you know, you don't want him in power because, he could close all the pipelines and squeeze them so that Britain will not be milking Nigeria, the way it has been. So the next after Buhari now, Britain's interest is to maintain the status quo that has been in our country since the independence and make sure that the breast they've been sucking from that country will continue to produce milk. So they want to make sure that Buhari was alive up until he's finishing, and then they want to make sure that this man who will continue with the same narratives will also be alive. So if he becomes the president, nothing changes economically, developmentally, and nothing will change in our country today if that man becomes the president. And who is the beneficiary? Not the people of Nigeria, but Britain. But we were going to leave it there because we will discuss the details of this next week. Yes. So, but these are the behind the scenes events that we don't see ourselves.
Mark, what Sir George just said is deep.
It's really deep. Really deep. That's deep.
The Nigerian interest has never been in the minds of the leaders. And so what Godwin Ibe was telling us, neo-colonialism on Wednesday.
Neo-colonialism. That's it.
So is that what it is now?
That's what it is. I'm standing with Sir George. I'm standing with Dr. Sita. Let's take note also that the party we're talking about, APC, is they have a way of going about things. They started the room. They started all this. I mean, we're not supposed to be bothered about a man going to London for medical. What's our business with all that? But they made story out of that, brought old news out of it, brought all kinds of internet sensational stories. I mean, you begin to wonder, why are they creating all this? So I come back to Sir George and say it's all part of the campaign. So it's a very primitive way of campaigning anyway, but I think somehow they are doing their thing. But they will be shocked at the end. This hopefully
but we have not even started discussing the developmental plans of these parties. I mean, we at News Echo, we will bring the development plans they have. I mean, we will bring their campaign points to the forefront. We will go beyond what they are making. They want us to discuss the persons and personalities which have no bearing. I think we will challenge every point. If someone says, "Oh, I'm going to build a refinery in Ilorin," we're going to say, "How? Where's the money?" We're going to challenge them like other people do in their countries. Not just that, one party says, "I'm going to put a refinery at Ilorin," and then we clap. We say, "How? When?" Nigeria has not been able to construct a 100-mile road from Lagos to Ibadan. This road services the rest of the north, rest of the east, and yet for 20 years, successive governments we've not been able to build 100 miles. I'm not too proud to say that one. Well, we have very few seconds, and I'm just going to ask you to make a statement each as it comes to your mind, but just one statement. Starting from you, Sir George, what would you just want to tell the globe right now?
Get ready, get ready, get ready. We are in a new era. The world is changing in our eyes.
Wow. Dr. Sita.
Well, I'm in Nigeria. I am going to say the campaign has started. Just listen wisely and vote wisely.
Thank you. Mark in Milan.
Yes, I want to say this is a beautiful inaugural broadcast today, and a very impressive audience too, and good discussion. Thank you very much, Dr. Shegun.
That's how far we'll go today. We're very glad you are with us. We'll be back on Wednesday, 10 o'clock London time, and we will be discussing, as usual, matters of Africa, especially Nigeria. And on Friday next week, we'll be bringing to you global politics there. My name is Shegun Johnson. And until then, thanks to all my colleagues from Toronto in Canada,